Hi guys, welcome to SwitchedOn, Paul here, and another in our What Is series, and today we are looking at Raiders of not the Lost Ark, but the North Sea. And I'm just going to fire this game up and just let it play through a very short intro video that will give you some atmos, so I'll rejoin you in a second. There we go, giving you a bit of a feel of what's to come. But this is a conversion of a board game, and it pretty much came out of nowhere, dropping last week. And this is £16.19 and $19.99. So about standard for these board game conversions. And I'll be honest, I say this about everyone, I feel like the price is a little bit higher for these board game conversions. So I read something quite good the other day when people were complaining how low or how high the price of the board games on Switch are compared to iOS, and people were saying, well, perhaps your attitude should be that it's half the price on iOS, but I don't know. But anyway, these games, I used to be a big board game fan. For those that don't know, I had sort of hundreds and hundreds of board games on my shelves, and you know, when you buy these, they can range anything from sort of £25, and ashamedly, I remember paying over £100 for some games. So, you know, is £16, $20 too much? I guess it's up to the individual. So, anyway, let's get into this game. So, we've got a local mode, and at the moment, it's got one level of AI, which by all accounts is pretty easy to beat. But the developers have said they're working on the AI. Now, I don't know if they're just making it more difficult overall, or they're adding in extra levels, sort of an easy, medium and hard mode. But just be assured that if you read anything about the AI difficulty, it is being worked on at the moment and should improve soon. There's an online mode with asynchronous games, which is always welcome in digital board games. So let's have a quick look at online. There was a few games up there last night. See, there's a game there at the moment. As long as there's always one game to join, then that's not a problem. I mean, it's quite early here in the UK, so at busier times I expect a few more games. And as I say, it is asynchronous, so you sort of take your turn and then wait for the other person to take their turn. And we've also got a few other things here. We've got leaderboards, which obviously, again, online, big fan of that. Love a leaderboard. Challenges. These are like little missions to complete, so not sure what happens when you level up, but they're there as a thing. And in the local mode against the AI, we've got the tutorials. So you can play a campaign, or you can just play a one-off game against the AI, which we're going to do now. Campaign mode is 10 levels of having to complete various different things on the map. So it's basically the same game, but you know, you'll have an actual different goal at the end rather than just scoring as many points as you can. There's different sort of goals set and different, slightly different rule setups and stuff. So that is cool. So let's play a 3-player game. Give you a quick overview of what this game is. Now, it's really simple mechanically, this game. I love worker placement games, what are called worker placement games, where if you're not aware of what that is, you start the game with a certain amount of sort of pawns or tokens, and you get to put them on a space on the board, and then that space on the board usually has an action that you then take. Now this has a slightly different wrinkle, as you, on your turn, you get to do two things. You get to put a worker down and then pick a different worker up and take both the actions. So the action of the worker you put down and the action of the worker that you take back off the board. So at any time, you're generally going to have at least one worker in front of you, though you can get extras. So the first thing we've got here, we've been dealt a hand of 5 cards, and we have to discard down to 3. So we take a quick look at these. Just a quick overview of these cards. The red number in the top corner is their sort of strength or their attack status. That comes into effect when you go out raiding villages and fortresses. The black number underneath is the amount it costs to hire this person into your crew. So you see here 2 silver for the merchant, 4 for the mercenary, 3 for the avenger, and so on. Underneath we've got the abilities of each card. So the sort of little head icon is what the effect is when you go to the barracks, or actually when you play from the town. No, it's from the barracks. Sorry, it's from the barracks. So when you when this person is on a raid, that effect is taking place. So let's have a look at the mercenary, second card there. So if this mercenary gets killed during a raid, you gain 1 victory point. Now we'll talk about how they get killed when we go on a raid. But the effect underneath, we like the play button, the triangle button underneath. That is an effect when you visit the town hall. You see there at the top of this little patch of land. So when you put a worker or take a worker off the town hall, you then get to take that action. So merchant, use any building's action as if your worker was there. The avenger, force all opponents to lose 1 silver, and so on. And when you play one of these cards, you'll discard it and take that action, and it goes into a discard pile. So let's have a bigger look at the map. So this is the starting area where you take your actions. So there's not many places that you can actually take an action at. What we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 areas. This is the top half of the map. If you imagine a sort of a portrait board laid out, the little island we just looked at is at the bottom closest to you, and then as the board expands away from you, this is the top part. So this is where you go raiding. So you've got harbours nearest to you, then outposts, monasteries, and then finally fortresses. The game will actually end when there is 1 fortress left, I believe. I have to double check that actually, but there's a few conditions that end the game. You see there the longhouse. It's a shame it's slightly not visually displayed as it is in the board game, but basically the longhouse there, you see those 4 banners, 3 of which have got yellow numbers on. These are offerings to the gods. So the idea of this game is you go out raiding to raid goods, bring the goods back to your sort of encampment, and then anytime you can trade those goods in to get those victory points there in the yellow number, so 4, 4 and 6. In the actual game, this is sort of a bit more, I can't think of the right word, but basically these are offerings to the gods, and you have a pile of god cards that you turn over randomly to get those 3 different variations of what ones that you need to commit the goods to. But here it just doesn't feel like that. It just, so you got this longhouse, but I'd rather that was sort of represented by sort of a picture of the god or something, or just some different way of representing that, but that's just me. So the actual look of this game, it looks very much like the board game. Obviously a little bit more interactive and 3D, so you've got different elements moving around, but it's good they kept the same look. I mean, that's the actual kind of look of the board from the board game. And then they've added in a few gamey bits like some animations and stuff. So it looks really nice, and certainly like that when games, digital board games do that. So let's get into this game anyway. So it's our turn. You see we've got 1 worker in the bottom right hand corner. We've got 1 black worker. You can get black, grey and white colour workers, and they have different effects, but at the moment we start with a black. And you've got the tableau at the bottom showing you your 5 cards. If you hold down Y, you can scroll through them with the left stick if you need a closer look and a reminder of what they do. Underneath that we've got our resources. So we've got the sort of brown bag is like basically goods and food that you need when you go out pillaging. Silver next to that, and then we've got cattle, stone and gold. Hold down the left bumper button to bring up the defense level of your armada or your warriors. You can build it up at the armory space, and that gets added to your attack value when you go out pillaging. And then hold down the right button. This is, well, or will be, your raiding party. At the moment we've got nobody in it because you have to recruit them at the barracks, but we've got nobody in there at the moment. So that's, I think, all the buttons have been been played through. So we're back here to discard our 2 cards. So let's have a look. Obviously we don't start with a lot of money, so I don't know if we can maybe afford to get rid of the mercenary. We've got 2 warmongers, so we can certainly get rid of one of those. We don't need duplicates of those. Let's... Mind you, we don't actually want to get rid of the mercenary because then we've got to pay for him. So let's get rid of the merchant. He offers us no attack value. And, yeah, we're all about needing the attack. So, we're starting the game now. We'll start with 3 cards. And our first action is to put our worker onto one of these spaces. If you hold down X on any space, it gives you a quick overview of what that space does as a reminder, which is really handy. So we're going to go out raiding. The spaces, the harbours here, you see the goods in the circles. They are just randomly generated each turn. In the actual game, you pull them out of a little bag, put them on the spaces. Here, they're just randomly generated when you start the game. These black tokens are, I think it's called Valkyrie tokens, but basically, if we go raiding in this space, for every black token, every black skull that's there, we have to discard a card. And they basically go to Valhalla. So it's, you know, what is dead may never die. But that's what they are. So, I mean, for example, that would be a particularly bad space because we've got 1 stone and we'd have to lose 2 cards. So that, you know, wouldn't want to raid that space. But for example, this one here, we get a livestock, a stone, 2 gold. So that's a good space and we don't lose anybody. So that would be the first space that I would consider raiding. You can raid any space. It's not like you have to start here and work your way up. So I can go to any of these spaces. Should also talk about the raiding requirements actually. So if we go to this harbour here, for example, with these 3 spaces, we can raid any of the spaces we choose if we go to this location. Sorry for jerking the screen around. You see there where it says harbour, and you've got that little grey sort of icon above it. I'm afraid I can't kind of point to it, can I? But hopefully you can make that out. And it's got 3 bags, 2 heads. So that basically means to raid that space, our raiding party needs at least 2 people in it. That's the 2 heads. And it needs 3 sort of bags of food or goods to sustain us for that journey. If we can do that, we get 1 victory point shown in the yellow banner. And also, as I said, we get to collect those goods and that little grey worker. If it's grey or white, it's hard to tell actually. It might be white. Let's just give you another example just so you know for comparison. If we go and raid this harbour over on the left-hand side with these 3 spaces, we would need 2 bags of goods, 2 warriors in our raiding party for 1 victory point. And then it gets a little bit more difficult and complicated. If we go and raid this outpost, we need 3 bags of goods, 3 workers, or I keep calling them workers, sorry, 3 warriors in our raiding party. And you also see a red square there. That means we roll a dice as well, because the outposts and anything past the harbour have a slightly different mechanic. You see the banners next to the outpost there, the red and yellow banners. The red number is our raiding party value, which is the value of our cards in our raiding party. If I remember, I showed you the little red number in the corner of our cards. You can still see them at the bottom. The level of our defense that I spoke about when you go to the armory, you can build that up. Plus the number from the dice roll. So if you add all those together, if you can breach the number shown in red there, so if we roll sort of a 10 or 11 or 12, anything up to 16, we'll get 2 victory points. If we can amass a value of 16 or more, then we'll get 4 victory points there. If we don't meet the targets, it doesn't mean that we can't take the goods. That's just an extra mechanic to get extra victory points. We'd still get the benefits of doing the raid. The dice actually aren't normal dice. They don't have 1 to 6. I believe they have 2 to 5 on them. But 2 of the sides have 3s and 2 of the sides have 4. So the 6 sides would be 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5. So just so if you see some funny dice rolls and we never get a 6. But let's crack on with a little bit of gameplay. So as I say, we're going to go on a raid. Let's try and raid this outpost here, the one we said with the livestock, the rock or the stone and 2 gold. We're going to need 3 goods and 2 people in our raiding party, which obviously we've got. We've got 3 cards. So we can certainly get a raiding party together to go there. So we need the goods really. So we need to go to the mill. That's where you get the goods. And you can see at the moment it's occupied by a worker. There's a black worker there. And the only way we can get access to that at the moment is to take that worker off. So that would have to be our second action. So our first action, we can't. I was looking at the town hall to play an effect on our cards, but all our cards rely on the other person having something. So that one is all players must give you 1 silver or 1 provision, force all opponents to lose 1 silver, take 1 provision from an opponent. So it's not worth playing those cards yet because nobody else has got anything. So we won't do that. We could go to the barracks and try and recruit one of these people, but again, maybe a waste because we've only got 3 cards. So let's go to the gatehouse where our cursor is at the moment. So we can draw 2 new cards at the gatehouse. So we're going to put our worker there, draw 2 new cards into our hand. Just have a quick look at those. So we've got the Brinar. So gain 1 strength for every free armor you currently hold. Yeah, it hasn't actually got a play effect, but it says you cannot hire more than 1 hero. So don't know if that's any good. And we've got another Avenger. So if killed, force an opponent to lose a crew member. And force all opponents to lose 1 silver. So they're the 2 cards we've got. We keep those. And so we want these goods. So we're going to take the worker off of the mill. And it gives us 1 provision. So we've now got 1 provision, 2 silver. And now the AI is taking their turn. They're hiring some people at the barracks. This is the red player. Looks like they took some provisions too from the mill. And the blue player is taking some provisions from the mill. Now if you look at the mill, you see 3 different banners, and a few of these spaces have got different banners. But let's just take the mill for an example. So if we put a black worker down or take a black worker off, we get 1 provision. If you put a grey worker down, you get 2 provisions. If you put a white worker down, you get 2 provisions, or you can take a gold. So we'll get different colour workers when we go and raid. So we still need provisions, and there's still only a black worker there, so we can only take 1 bag of provisions, but that will give us enough to go on the raid, so we will probably do that. So let's get our raiding party together so we're ready for our next turn. So we're going to go to the barracks, and we can't afford any workers, so they're all greyed out, so that's not good. Thankfully it's a really good undo. We just press B and we take our move back, so that's fine. So what we do need is silver. We've only got 2 silver at the moment. We need at least 4. So what can we do? We can go to the silversmith, put our black worker down and get 3 silver, or we can go to the treasury on the left hand side, discard 1 card to get 2 silver, or discard 2 cards to get 1 gold. But obviously it makes a lot of sense to go to the silversmith, because all we have to do is put our worker down, get 3 gold. Now we've got a choice. We can take the worker off of the mill to get a provision, or we can go to the barracks and put our raiding party together. Now, this is where a bit of strategy comes in. If I take the worker off the mill, that would leave that space empty and would potentially allow one of the other players to put a grey or a white worker down and get more provisions. At the moment, the best that anybody can do there is take that black worker off and get 1 bag of provision, which I would really like, but strategically, is it better for me to leave that space blocked for now? Because I need to do both, put a raiding party together at the mill and get some more provisions. So whatever happens, it's going to take me at least 1 more turn to get a raiding, get a viable raiding party together. So I think what I'm going to do strategically is leave the worker at the mill, let somebody else take that 1 provision and not give them a chance to put any get any extra provisions. And I will actually go to the barracks and put my raiding party together. Oh, I can't, can I? Because I can't put a worker down. Ah! Okay, so what can we do? Let's have a look, see what the other teams have got. So if we press the minus button, it brings up the sort of everybody else's scorecard. So we can see here, Ragnar and Skadi have both got 4 provisions and 1 silver. So, sorry, they've both got 4 cards and 1 provision, 1 silver. But Ragnar has got no provisions and Skadi has got 2 provisions. So we could disrupt Scardy because she's pretty much ready to go on a raid. So if we could disrupt Scardy and take her provisions away or her silver, that would set her back a turn. So what we're going to do actually is take the worker off of the town hall, which gives us the ability to play a card. And as all the workers had a silver... Actually, no, we're going to take a provision. Because provisions will actually stop them from going out on a raid, where silver won't really... So it was Scardy, wasn't it, who had the 2 provisions. So right-clicking in the right stick there brings up the tray at the bottom. So if you want to have an overview of the board or do what I just did, have a look at the other players, click in the right stick and you can sort of hide this action. But we're going to take it from Scardy. So we get her provision. And then it's Ragnar's turn. So at the moment, if we look at the bottom of the board, we've got 2 provisions, 5 silver. We've got no livestock, rocked or gold. Holding down the right bumper, we've got nobody in our raiding party. And our armory is at 0. Which we don't really need the armory until a little bit later in the game, so I'm not too fussed about that. So, we still need a provision because we need 3 to go here. We could go and raid this harbour here, which gives us slightly less goods. 1 livestock, 1 rock, 1 gold, and a white worker. But we only need 1 provision, but 3 people in our raiding party. Or even this one over here. We only need 2 provisions and 2 workers. 2 Vikings. And that's quite good as well. So, we've got a few choices. I mean, we obviously want to avoid these spaces. We don't want the Valkyrie tokens. We've got enough. We've got 2 goods. So, we could actually definitely go out on a raid on the next turn. Okay, let's get our party together. We need to go to the barracks to get this party together. So we'll go to the barracks and we're now hired the townsfolk. Now, I guess we've not got enough silver, have we? We've got 5 silver, so we're not going to be able to put together a team of 2. But we're going to take an Avenger. If killed, force an opponent to lose a crew member also. He's got a... power of 3, an attack power of 3, and it's going to cost 3 to put into our raiding party. So there we go. And we're going to need more silver. So if we take our black worker back off the silversmith that we put on there earlier, then we get 3 silver. But then we're opening up the spot as an easy get for somebody else. I'm just thinking here whether to take the treasury worker and discard a card to get 2 silver, and then, you know, somebody else wants silver, they've pretty much got to go there and discard a card. Actually, let's just take this one. So we're back up to 5 silver now. Ragnar doing that action, taking 3 silver. Looks like he played the barracks. Scardy, what's she going to do? Puts her worker at the town hall to draw 3 new cards. That must have been an effect of a card that she had. And she takes the worker off the mill for a provision. Back to us. Now then, we need to get 1 more person in our raiding party. So we need to go to the barracks to get our last raider. Yeah, this Brynar looks like he can be the only person in your crew. He's got a power of 4. So he looks like he'd be a good solo raider for later on. So we're not going to hire him now. We're going to hire the mercenary. If killed in the raid, gain 1 victory point. Now, of course, you can strategically go to a spot that's got a Valkyrie token or Valhalla token. I'm not sure what the exact phrasing is. And, you know, to gain a victory point, you're basically sacrificing somebody to get a victory point. That's obviously a valid tactic. But there we go. So we've got our raiding party, our minimum that we need of 2 to do one of those little raids, either the 1st or 2nd harbour there. Sorry, the 1st or 3rd harbour, isn't it? They just both need 2 warriors. So we need to take a worker back off. What can we take away? We could disrupt. We could disrupt the other team again. We could do the force opponents to lose all silver. That would be quite handy. It's only 1 silver and there's only 2 opponents. So choices are we could take the silversmith and get 3 silver. I think we're going to do that actually. So Ragnar, he is in no position to go on a raid. Scardy can't either. So we looks like we're going to be the first people to take a raid on. Now if you look here when you're doing your raids, as I mentioned at the start, we should be looking at the longhouse because these are the goods that we need to hand over to the gods to win their favour. So we either need to hand over 2 stone, 2 gold, or 2 livestock and 2 rocks, or 2 stone. So we've got 2 people in our raiding party, we've got 2 provisions, so we can basically only raid this harbour on the left. So let's have a look. So it's got 2 livestock. See, that would be quite good. That would certainly get us on our way. If we could get 2 livestock, a gold and a rock, that would certainly get us on our way for the 6-point offering there of 2 livestock, 2 rock. So that's tempting. 2 gold or 2 rock. I think we're going to go here. So we go out on our first plunder. So you get 1 victory point for taking that on. And there we go. See the goods at the bottom. We've now got 2 livestock, 2 rock and a gold. Now Ragnar's going on a raid. He's got to raid one of the other spots, although he still gets the 1 victory point. So see, he's gone for that one, avoiding the need to sacrifice one of his warriors. And Scardy, what's she going to do? Is she going to go on a raid? Oh, she's going to this one. I'd imagine she's going to take the livestock, the rock and the gold. Yeah. It's a good space. So after a round of raiding, let's have a quick look at the scoreboards, and you can see Scardy has pretty much got enough to offer. I thought she got another livestock. Sorry, my mistake. She's only got 1 livestock and 2 gold. Ragnar's got 1 livestock, 2 rock and a gold. And we've got 2 livestock, a rock and a gold. So Ragnar, with the 2 rocks, is probably in a good position there to pick up 4 points at the longhouse. You see there, the first token needs 2 rocks, 2 stone, sorry, to get 4 points. So that's interesting. The other interesting thing you may note in the bottom right corner is we've now got a white worker, so that gives us different effects on the board. It's probably the most powerful worker. Allow us 2 provisions or gold at the mill, although 2 silver at the silversmith. Now I think there's also yeah, if you look at these raiding locations, it's kind of hard to see, and it's probably easier in the actual board game, but if you look at the harbour, where it says harbour, there's a little dot with 2 colours in. That's white or black, and that means you can raid that with a white or black worker when you place your worker down. But the outposts can only be attacked by a white. Again, it's hard to tell if that's white or grey. It may be grey, but you can only sort of put a grey worker down to go there. Monastery is white or grey. Fortresses are white. So that's interesting as well. You have to sort of raid places to get the right coloured workers to do further raids. I don't know if we can see actually here. It doesn't actually tell you what colour worker to put down. Although handily it does tell you what you need. So to raid this space you need 3 more provisions and 1 more crew. So that's handy. Okay, so what we could do now is we can't offer up anything to the gods. We need another rock. We can we get rocks from anywhere? I don't think we can. Without going on a raid. So basically our next task would be to build up to another raid. So we'd need, where's the one we've got rocks? Here's a rock one here. So basically we need 1 provision, which we haven't got, and 3 people in our crew. And this one would need 2 provisions and 2 people in our crew. We've already got a 2-man crew. We could go there. It would cost us one of our crew because there's a black token now. But we would get the additional rock we need to claim the 2 rock, 2 livestock offering for 6 points. So that would be handy. So I think we'll work towards that of needing 2 provisions and 2 crew. So we'd need 2 provisions, which handily our white worker would get us at the mill, although that space is blocked by the black worker there at the moment. I think we'll go to the gatehouse and get 2 new cards, and then we'll take the worker off of the mill to get a provision. And let Ragnar have a turn. So basically the game carries on like this, trying to get your crew together and provisions together in enough numbers to be able to go and raid these spots at the top of the board, to get enough resources to make offerings to the gods and claim these victory points. I'm trying to see if there's an easy way to see the victory point total. I guess it's on here. So the left hand side, that's your current power in red, current victory points in yellow. On the actual board there's like a track around the outside of the board. I just wonder if that would be displayed a bit differently, but that's, I guess, the best way to get an overview. So we can see everything there. Actually, it's quite nicely laid out. You can see the other person's raiding party, all the provisions and cards that they've currently got in their hand, the current armor level, and how many people they've offered to Valhalla. You can see that the skulls, when you offer or get forced to discard a card and they go to Valhalla, you actually move up a victory point track there as well. So it is a valid strategy to sacrifice your crew if needs be. So that's quite nicely laid out. It's quite easy to understand, actually. Quite a nice overview. Now, hopefully that's been a nice little quick look at this game. I really like it. I've played the actual board game once or twice before. It wasn't one I actually owned myself, but I played it at a friend's house. So I was really looking forward to getting it digitally. And it plays really well. It's been really well thought out. It's got enough gamey elements in it. Nice sort of music in the background that's very atmospheric. Nice sound effects, the graphics are really nice, and just everything sort of makes logical sense after a quick tutorial or so. So it plays really nicely. I'm going to try some online. Hopefully that runs okay. But yeah, really like this one so far. I'm going to be doing a full review next week. So you can probably imagine that's going to be pretty positive. But I'll get into the ups and downs of that like usual. But until then, if you've got any questions, leave them below. Please like and subscribe. Be really appreciated, and I will catch you guys on the next video. See you later, guys. Bye bye.